Welcome to New Hampshire Politics with John Burt. I'm John Burt. Thank you for joining me, and today I have some great news. And at the end of the show, I want to talk about Market Basket and what just happened there. And so I hope you stay tuned. And then also what not to do if you're running for Congress, especially from Montana. I want to talk about that a little bit. And these are good stories at the end, so you want to stay tuned in for that. I can't wait to tell you about the two items. But what I want to bring up and why I'm excited is you've heard me in the past. I've had Representative Leon Rideout. He's a former rep now up in Lancaster. He's been on a bunch of times about the fetal homicide bill, and it's Senate Bill 66 is what it is. Senator Regina Birdshell, she put it forward. She did a great job. She worked extremely hard with me in the House and with others in the House to get this passed. I mean, a whole team of people have been working on this. I was, honored and blessed to be able to make the motions in criminal justice to bring this forward, because a couple weeks ago, the bill didn't pass committee, so I made a motion to retain it, which means it stays in committee. This is all what the rules say we can do, and I brought up this bill again this former Tuesday. I don't have the date right in front of me, but it was on a Tuesday we went and met as we're taping here. And of course the Democrats go, "Oh, this is unfair, this isn't right." Well, but this is the rules that both the Democrats and Republicans have set forward to operate on. And then guess what? They say we blindsided them, but they had a bunch, 20 at least, anti-Senate Bill 66 supporters there that had these badges on that says, "Do not vote for Senate Bill 66 because they feel it's against abortion," and it has nothing. I'm telling you, it has nothing to do with abortion. But they keep saying it does. And then also, my good friend, Representative Panalakis, she's had an amendment. Well, you can't get an amendment up at the State House within a couple minutes. It takes a day, if not a couple days, if not a week, to put these amendments together. So there was no blindsiding, and that's what the newspapers started reporting. But they've changed their tune a little once I pointed out some of the truth. And in leadership up there, they did a great job. Representative Hinch and Speaker Jasper, they came right out and said, "Look, these are the rules. We both play with them. Go with the rules here, both sides. There's no shenanigans." But of course, the Democrats, that's what, and I like most of them. I really do. And it's sad that they jump to this, this mudslinging and saying, instead of going to what is actual. Because it serves nobody correct. It serves nobody right. And so this is where we are. But I am excited about this Senate Bill 66, and it is coming to the House floor on June 1st, and I hope it passes. It looks like we should have the votes, and I'm going to work hard until it passes. And the governor said he is waiting for the bill. And what this bill will do, Senate Bill 66 that Senator Birdshell put forward, is it will allow 20 weeks if you're pregnant, if you're a female, your daughter, your granddaughter, 20 weeks into birth. If somebody acts negligent, if I can say that word right, against that mom, and that baby dies, and wait until you hear some of these videos or these audios that I have. It's just heart-wrenching. You're going to hear them. But what I want to bring up first is a map. Let me bring up the map, and I have it over here on my laptop if you see me turning. 38 states currently have a fetal homicide bill. Massachusetts does. California does. Illinois, the most liberal states, and it works for them. We need this law here, and I hope we can get it passed. It's a good law. The states with no fetal homicide are the blue states. New York, looks like Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, and then some of the other states out west. why they don't, it mind boggles me, because we really need it. And then what I'd like to do is go right to the audios, and here is the Burt line. Let me bring that up. Yep, here it is what I want to do is go right to the first audio, and it's my Aunt Sheila out of Vermont. I haven't heard from her in a while, and all of a sudden she calls. I put it on Facebook to call in, and I did it here too, and I did get some calls. Sadly, I didn't get any opposition. I only got 6 positive. Well, I got more than that, but these are the 6 that I picked. And let me start the first audio, which is my Aunt Sheila, and listen to what she has to say, and we'll talk about it when I get back. Here it is.
Hi, John. This is your Aunt Sheila. Absolutely. That is murder in the first degree. Vermont should do the same thing. The whole country should do the same thing. There's so many ways of preventing unwanted pregnancies. They should start using them. This is a crime. It's criminal. It's murder. And they should be punished. Thank you. Bye.
Well, guess what I just did? I hit the wrong one. Let me bring it right back up. And I'm sorry for the little delay. Downloads. Here it is. Okay. I'm back on. I hit the wrong button. I can't believe I did that. But anyways, that was my Aunt Sheila. I haven't heard from her in a while. So, hi, Aunt Sheila, if you see this. But she's absolutely right. Again, the opposition saying that it has something to do with abortion, it has nothing to do with that. But you take the case of Representative Rideout, with his daughter. Guy went through a red light or a stop sign, and she survived, but the baby died. And I think he got charged with just going through a stop sign because New Hampshire does not have that law. And there was a wanted baby, and sadly it died. I just can't imagine, going through that, a family. And then that Vermont case where the husband and wife, a young couple, and the mom was 8 months pregnant, and they came over, and the guy over in, I think it was Lebanon, crossed the medium and with a big truck and hit their small car, and he was trying to commit suicide. They all 3 died, and sadly he got charged with 2 murders, and he should have got charged with a 3rd one because that was a wanted baby. And so, it's kind of sad that, we're in this state, especially in New Hampshire, where people aren't held liable. But I want to bring up the second one, which is a real short one. So let me play that real quick right now.
Yes, we need a fetal homicide law.
And that's all the calls I was getting, was just pretty much that. And let me bring up another short one. This is a good friend of mine over in Vermont. So apparently even Vermont wants this, and let's hope they do it too. But let me bring it up right now.
Hey, John, this is Dick Merrill in Bristol, Vermont. I'm calling to offer my support for the federal homicide law. And God bless you for all that you do for the state of New Hampshire. Have a good day, my friend.
Yeah, Dick's a good guy. He's a retired guy. He used to live in Connecticut, and I'm trying to think if he worked for Pratt & Whitney. I almost think he did. Boy, he said back in the Pratt & Whitney days were, big business down there. But again, here's another supporter, and they see the benefits of this because, it's a wanted baby. And even though it wasn't born yet, it's still a life as far as I'm concerned. Most states have at conception. So once the doctor says, congratulations, you're pregnant, that baby has protection. That's in most states. A few states in New Hampshire is going to start at 20 weeks and up. So once the doctor says, you're pregnant, after 20 weeks, the baby is protected. What I'm hoping is at some point, we will change that to a more reasonable, time. Some people want conception. I would be happy at 8 weeks. It's definitely at 8 weeks. There's a heartbeat and everything else. So, I mean, and this isn't the bill to have a debate on when life starts, but, this is a bill that, is going to serve New Hampshire very well. So, I'm just so happy that we got to this point. Now, the next 3 audios that I have, these are from the ride-out families. When I posted this, they called down here, and when you hear them, they're sincere. And this is, they call it the Griffins Law. This is one of the nicknames of Senate Bill 66, is the Griffins Law. And that's the grandbaby and the baby that died because of this accident. This kid went through a red light or a stop sign and hit Leon Rideout's daughter, and this is what happened. But let me bring up the first one and it's the Uncle Rideouts here, and let me start it right now.
Yes, calling about SB-66, also known as Griffin's Law. This is Griffin's uncle. We need this law passed so little snot-nosed punks can't run stop signs and kill innocent children. It's far past time to have this law passed. Thank you. Bye.
When I heard that, I'll tell you, it almost brought tears to my eyes hearing that, because you could hear the emotions with the uncle, how, even though the baby wasn't born, it's a baby, and it meant something to somebody, and that's why we have to have this law pass. And when you hear Representative Rideout, that's a good one. That's coming right up. I just think of the birthdays and everything else that this baby would have had. And I've lost a grandson. He was born with major health troubles in Wesley, and I think of him often. What he would be doing today if he was still alive. But he was born with some defects. It wasn't anybody's fault, and I think it was God's will that he just, it wouldn't have been good for him to come to this earth. And I think God took him for many reasons, and someday we'll find out. But like I said, to lose a grandchild, in my case, it wasn't by somebody else that was negligent, if I can say that word. It wasn't somebody else's fault that killed that baby. It just happened. And so, I have peace, with myself with that, and I hope my daughter-in-law does too. But I know she thinks of them often. But in this case, and in other cases like the Lebanon case, there isn't a closure yet. But with Senate Bill 66, there can be a closure. And let me bring up number 5, and it's the grandparents that called. And this is another one that really sticks to you. And listen to it really careful, and here it is right now.
Good afternoon, Mr. John Burt. This is Mr. and Mrs. Roland Hops calling, Griffin Rideout's great-grandparents. And we very much support you and appreciate everything you're trying to do. And we're hoping against hope that this goes through. And if it doesn't, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep up the fight. So thank you again, John. Thank you.
You can hear it in their voice, and like she said, it's hope against hope. But I really believe, and I hope I'm right, we're going to deliver this to them. And not that this is going to be closure for them. I think it partially could be, for Griffin, because what it is that this could be, no more victims, that won't be, you know, if there's harm done, like the uncle said, this snot-nosed kid, and I don't know the case, and I don't know the kid that did this, but he basically walked, and I pray that he thinks about it often. That oh my God, look what I did. But when you kill somebody, you should serve some time. And in this case, he didn't. But in most states, 38 states have this, and most, from what I'm understanding through the research that I heard in committee, most of it's manslaughter. Which is a couple years, 4 or 5, But then when there's a boyfriend or a husband that beats up the wife because he doesn't want the child, which it's rare, but it does happen. I pray it's rare. Let me put it that way. I really don't know. I hope it's rare. But that's murder. And if he harms the mom but kills the baby, he can't be charged in New Hampshire for murder of that baby. He can be charged for beating that woman up, the mom, but there's no charge to the baby, and in this case. And luckily, I don't believe New Hampshire's had any of those cases, not that I've heard of, and I pray that's the case. But this next one is a little. It's not long, but it's the longest one out of the group of them, and it's Representative Rideout, and he's a former representative. He ran for Senate, and sadly he didn't make it through, and I hope he reruns because boy, we need him back in the House. So hopefully he comes back to the House, or he reruns for the Senate and wins because he's a good man. But listen to what he has to say, and let me bring that up right now.
Hi, John. This is Leon Rideout calling in regards to Senate Bill 66, what is also known as the fetal homicide bill. I am strongly in favor of passing the bill as it is now presented, though there is sentiment for even a lower week. I believe it's a good compromise and puts New Hampshire on the right side of history as far as fetal homicide. Also would like to warn everyone out there that there will be many, many mistruths spoken about this bill in the next week or so. This bill will not impact any woman's rights other than her right to keep a wanted unborn child, and make it against the law for a third party to have a criminal act to take the child away from her. It's a great bill. I'm hoping a lot of people will call their state representatives and tell them to support this bill. I want to thank you, John, for the great work you did in committee to get this to the House floor. And again, I urge everybody that supports this bill to contact their state representatives and tell them to support Senate Bill 66. And for all the families that have been victims of fetal homicide, we thank you all. Have a good day.
Yeah, there you are. Like he said, there's going to be a lot of truths out there in the next week. So if you can, call your representative, look it up. Go to I think it's newhampshire.gov and look for the House side. And you want to call your state rep and say you support this. This is an extremely important bill for protections of wanted, and that's the big word, wanted pregnancies. So when a mom wants to carry her baby all the way through, and somebody takes that baby with ill intent, that person should be held liable. And again, if the mom wants to terminate the pregnancy, she has all the rights. And I made sure that happened with the Senate help. They had me put an amendment in there to cover all of those homicide bills. And, and again, I want to, Representative Rideout thanks me, but, I want to thank my committee and leadership at the New Hampshire House for all their assistance in getting this passed. It was a huge team effort, and we did a great job getting this to the House floor, and let's keep our fingers crossed. And the only way it's going to pass is if you call your local representatives and tell them to support this. So please, give me a hand in making sure that this works and, get this done. Well, the next thing I want to bring up is what I said at the beginning. I wanted to talk about what not to do if you are a congressman, a candidate running for Congress in Montana. I don't know if you saw the news. It's all over. This is NBC News that I found on the internet, and there's a whole, I mean, everybody reported on it. And what is the date? This is May 25th, and I almost think it was on the 24th. It could have been on the 25th of May when this happened, 2017. But it says Montana GOP congressman candidate cited with a misdemeanor assault of a reporter. And I found out this on Facebook. Greg Moore with American for Prosperity, he posted it, and I'll tell you what I said. It was so funny. Is it Gainforth is his name, and he's running for Congress. Well, this, what's his name? Journalist Ben Jacobs. He's with The Guardian. I don't really know The Guardian. I imagine it's probably a left-leaning. But anyways, he blindsides them. Next minute, everybody knows, and sadly, there's no video of it. I'd love to see the video. The congressman, wants to be, the candidate, grabs him, or some scuffle happens, and he tells them to get out. If you Google it, you can hear it. So there is audio of it. And all of a sudden, he body slams them to the ground, but he says he didn't. But they both ended up on the ground. As the journalist, his glasses got broke and everything else. And and I guess all it is a misdemeanor. But you know what I'm hoping is that Montana says enough is enough with these, journalists, and elects this guy. Because I don't think his intent was to hurt anybody. He just says, "Get away from me," and before you know it, they're both on the ground. So we'll let the courts hash everything out to see what happened, really. But, just, it was hilarious. So what I put on Facebook is I said, well, is it really wrong to body slam a media if they're from CNN? And of course I got a bunch of likes on it because, right now, not too many people like CNN. I mean, they're just way out there. And, the news media has really lost, as they call it, the true news media has lost a lot of credibility over the past years. Well, really decades. I don't listen to them anymore. But I did want to bring up some really, sad but incredible, in my eyes. I just lit right up, with sadness that this gentleman died. But let me bring up a picture, and here it is in the paper. And it's Thursday, May 25th. And who this gentleman is it's Arthur, and it's not, the owner of Market Basket, but he's a 96-year-old gentleman that worked there. I think 27 years he worked there. And he worked 10 to 15 hours, and he just bought a brand new Toyota Camry to drive himself to work. 96 years old. And why I'm... I look at this and I just go, oh my God. This is front page, top fold. It's a private company, but Market Basket is an incredible company. Mr. DeLoomis that owns the company, Artie they call him, you remember the story where the employees saved the company? I'm telling you, I hope they make a movie of this someday. But for a private company to make, in the employee to make top fold, it's incredible. So Artie, God bless you, and I know you're in good hands now. And I sadly I've never met the gentleman, but the Market Basket has some great employees down there. So I hope you enjoyed the show, and I'll be back next week. And until then, have a great day. Bye now.